Welcome to the next podcast from Millinery.Info. This episode is with Beverley Edmondson in Farnham from the United Kingdom. We'd like to thank our Patreon supporters for making this podcast possible: Louise McDonald Milliner, The Essential Hat, and the Hat Academy. Thank you for chatting hats with me today, Beverley. We're in Farnham. How do we pronounce that? Farnham. Near your store. And how did you first become interested in millinery?
The first sort of starting out in millinery was when I was 17. I went and did work experience for a company called Angels up in Hendon, who they essentially do costumes for like every movie you've ever seen. So there I turned up bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, sort of thinking, career in costume, definitely where I want to be. They're like celebrity walking in and out all day, getting their fittings. Turns out, sewing buttons onto 3000 extra suits didn't really touch it for me, and 2 days in I was incredibly bored. But there was this little room in the corner with like the millinery department. There were two ladies sitting in there. It just looked lovely. So I kind of said, can I go into the millinery department? And I went in and loved it. And from there, so I went back to school and I kind of said to my teacher, I want to make hats for my A-levels. And she said, well, you can't. Like, I don't know how to teach you how to make hats. I don't know how to make a hat. Like, you can't. And I was like, no, I want to make hats. So I found myself a week-long course at the London College of Fashion over the Christmas holidays. Took myself on that. Went back to school, said, right, I can make hats. Can I make hats for my A-level project? And she couldn't really say no at that point. I did that, and from there I wanted to do a textiles-based degree, but you've got to do art foundation courses to get onto that. I didn't fancy the idea of an art foundation course, so I found HNC at Kensington and Chelsea College of Art, and found out that if I did that I could skip the art foundation course. So I was like, great. So I went on and did the HNC at Kensington and Chelsea when I was 18, and the rest is history.
And what did you create? Did they have you build a final collection around a theme, or what did you produce for that?
So we did a final collection. My theme that I chose was sort of Baroque architecture, but I made it all out of metal. So I did soldered steel, soldered like jewellery wire, sort of sculptures on top of the head, and a little bit of like leather work as well. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. And then from there, what was your next step on your millinery path?
From there, it went quiet for a little bit. I went travelling. I did a little bit, but I went travelling, came back. I worked for a jewellery manufacturers and wholesaling company, and at the weekends I just started taking out some of my hats along with some of the jewellery from the company that I worked with onto market stalls, and just started selling them. That grew to sort of appointments from my dad's spare bedroom, because I was still living at home at this point, and just grew a small client base from there, really. And then about sort of 2 years after doing that, I opened the shop.
That's great. And what do you think the best aspect from your training was at Kensington and Chelsea that helped you launch?
The calibre of the tutors, I think. Sort of especially like people who stick with me, sort of Ian Bennett, he teaches everybody now. But everybody that we had Noel Stewart there as well, he was great, and Kirsten, who was the course leader at the time. And Jane Smith as well, of course, can't forget Jane Smith. Just the calibre of the tutors was great. I think it was kind of good being so young. I was 10 years younger than anybody else on the course when I did it. And although in many ways I feel like I missed out on a lot because I didn't understand the networking aspects of it, or the things other things I needed to gauge from it, but it just allowed me to go in completely like unfazed to it, and just sort of get on and do.
Yes.
So
how has your brand developed since you started attending those stalls?
Oh, massively, like hugely. I didn't really even realise I was running a business, I guess, initially. Then it was just I had hats and wanted to go out and sell them. There was no plan at that point. So yeah, it's just sort of evolved over time, but I've been very careful to let it evolve as and when I've been ready, rather than to be like, right, I'm doing this now, or that's happening now, or expecting this or that to happen. I've been very clear to just, you know what, I'll get there in time. It doesn't matter if somebody else is sort of in the periphery doing better or anything like that. I need to be ready to do things at the time that I'm ready to.
Yes, absolutely. So who are you making hats for at the moment? What's your process?
I mean, most of our sort of clients are mother bride, so slightly older demographic, or they're going and getting, like, we do a lot for investitures, we do a lot for sort of social functions and things like that as well. Obviously Ascot's sort of the biggest time of the year, but predominantly it's sort of the mother of the bride, mother of the groom, sort of aspect, or grandmother of the bride, grandmother of the groom, which I really enjoy, because you get people there who sort of have never really worn hats, and you know, they're women with a lot of life experience, but then they come in and suddenly they're absolutely floored by what to do with a hat. So, you know, what we pride ourselves on in store is the sort of one-to-one service, and you know, adapting to everybody's needs. You know, if they're confident in a hat, or if they're not confident in a hat, it's just about guiding them through, showing them what's available, showing them how to wear stuff, how to put them on their head, how to carry them off, what colours suit them, and we really just guide through gently, to sort of give them the best outcome for them as well.
And what are the most common styles and colours that you're producing for that?
We do a lot of navy blue. A lot of navy blue. I think a lot of women sort of, they know they don't want to go black for a wedding. And then you've got a lot of blush pinks and things like that. But I think customers can be quite adventurous with colours as well. We do quite a lot of like fuchsia pinks and bright colours. I think there's a certain aspect that if you're going to wear a hat, you might as well go bright, because you've got a hat on your head regardless.
Good. And are they preferring larger shapes, or depending on the customer?
Really depends on the customer. We probably do sort of half and half, big hats and smaller pieces. Sometimes it depends on the occasion as well. So like some occasion will call for something smaller, some occasion will call for something bigger. But it's often to do with like the confidence of people. A lot of people say, oh, I just want something small like a fascinator, and then they try them on and they're not convinced, and you tell them to put on a hat, and all of a sudden they're like, how does that look so much better when it's so much bigger? And often that's because a hat you wear is not perched on top, it's becomes more part of you, so it looks more whole and complete for the person.
And how do you work the process of your shop? Are you designing specific collections, or is it just developing as people come in?
So we do a few different ways. I design like key collections sort of twice a year, which is a slightly more sort of avant-garde pieces, a statement pieces, a showstopper pieces that draw people's eye in, but they don't necessarily sort of go for all the time, but they might do a toned down version of, or something like that. And then in the shop we constantly have sort of stock that we're making all the time and selling, which always just evolves. You know, you've got your sort of basic sort of navy blue simple shape hat, and then you've got your navy blue really big hat, and then you've got sort of a navy blue saucer shape and navy blue fascinator. We'll always make sure we have those in, but they're never always like the same. With every hat we make will be slightly different as well. So it's constantly evolving, and we're very reactive to, just because we've made a collection in a season, if we're finding people coming with the same colour dresses, we're just make stock up for the shop that fills that gap. We're very flexible in that way. We don't tend to tie ourselves to sort of one collection. We work on what our customers' requirements are rather than what we think.
Yes. And what's the process for producing the hats? Are you making most of it in-house, or do you have other suppliers that are bringing you the elements, or what's the process?
So we do a mixture, and it purely depends on what is chosen by the customers. So we have sort of a team out back who will do a lot of the blocking pieces, but then we do also have the freelancers who will send out blocking too. We've got other companies that will send out other blocking too, where they're using our aluminium pads to block them, or we will again we've got like 2 different flower makers depending on the type of flowers that need making. or different trimmings. It depends on what it is, but we've got sort of lots of people around, and we sort of siphon off the work as and where. Most of the trimming I still kind of like to do myself in-house.
Yes.
I do kind of feel that what makes it a Beverley Edmondson hat rather than a hat. I can't describe where, but I think positioning on trimming is a key thing, and it's also something that's really hard to be taught because it's just down to the eye. Over the paper that comes together, if everything needs doing in-house, it's absolutely done in-house, if that's what's needed. But yeah, it's again, we do it individually to each customer and to each hat. There's no sort of mass production of anything anywhere.
That's good. And how has your hat making changed from when you first learnt to what you're producing at the moment?
Massively. So my hat making changed because it used to all be like me and doing it all in house, and I had to learn as the business has grown to sort of outsource and do different things, but also different styles have come in, things that were totally unpopular when I was training, now popular. So it's almost like teaching myself those skills, which is quite refreshing, having to do it yourself without tutors, because then you just find your own way and your own routines and your own uniquenesses of doing it. But I mean, my hat making changed massively because now I spend most of my day either prepping or preparing for other people to do bits. So I do a lot of managing bits and pieces, and then come back and do all the trimmings. So yeah, my hat making hasn't necessarily changed. I think I've gone through stages where I've been more particular and less particular, and that's again all about finding the journey and the route and the business and the path that you go on. But I've probably tried all sorts of different ways, and some things have always gone back to the first way, other things have changed and developed as they've gone on. But yeah, and now I'm a people manager to produce the hats, and you know, I will design the initial pieces, and the signature collection I will very much make myself, because that's almost sort of also my challenge, to push myself into other stuff and then sort of pass that down into the team.
And so just could you describe your workroom atmosphere for us?
So because it's attached to the shop, a lot of the time the workroom has to be sort of actually like quite quiet or quite tidy. And the shop floor is really our key area. So the studio is sort of our secondary area. So out the back, sometimes it's just chaos because the shop floor's been busy, so lots of stuff has been dumped out there for the move. Other times it's quite quiet. I love like going in there on like a Sunday when there's nobody else about and just sort of dabbling or preparing for the week ahead. We have music on in the shop, which obviously goes through to the studio. We tend to only have sort of 1 to 2 people in the studio at a time, just everything else is outsourced or done on the shop floor. But I'll regularly sort of stand on the shop floor sewing something, you know, rather than just being stuck in the studio out the back as well.
And how have you grown your team? So you've got yourself to be in a managerial position. So what's the team around you, and how do you work with them?
So I've got a great team now, and it takes time to evolve and to grow a team and for everyone to know their space. And that's probably one of the biggest challenges that I still face every day, is the team and the getting people together. But you know, I've got relationships with suppliers going back 11 years now. They're friends and things now, and I know that, you know, at the drop of a hat they will do anything if needed. If something goes terribly wrong, they will do that kind of thing. So we've got outsourced people who work directly for me. I've got the front of house staff. So I've got 3 members front of house, and then I've got 2 people sort of in the studio as well. I float between the 2.
And how do you structure your week or your day?
My days aren't very structured. I try to have a structure, but it's also very reactive and changes depending on the time of year. I've got anything to put on my pattern. If something needs doing, I can't leave it even though it's lower down my list. I'm kind of like, I'll do that now. So I do jump around a little bit, which is probably a bit frustrating for my team, because they're like, just put it on the list and carry on with that job rather than starting another one. So I try and do it sort of like Mondays I do my admin, I do all my mentoring with my mentees on a Monday from home. Tuesdays I tend to do appointments on the shop floor and sort of ensuring that the shop floor team know what's set for them for the week. Wednesdays I either work from the studio making hats, or I will make from home making hats, and perhaps I might have some mentoring on a Wednesday as well. Thursdays are generally mainly in the studio, but come up for appointments if I have appointments in. And then I do a lot of the prepping of things to be outsourced for the week as well, making sure I've got all the fabrics and everything and they all go into the right places. Fridays I do appointments and mainly shop floor as well. Saturdays I'm always on the shop floor as well. I think it's really key when people come into my business, is my name above the door, and as much as you have a team around you, it's kind of more important to a client that they see me in the consultation stage, and then as long as I get their hat made for them and it looks as they've discussed, that's a more important place for me to be than in the studio all the time.
Living so in the area in which you're working as well, how do you find structuring a work-life balance, and how does that fit in?
A what?
So, but do you get a chance to attend events yourself, or what's
I try and go to sort of Ascot, but I'll be honest, I'm not going. I am like every milliner, just going to look at hats, things like that. I tend to sort of work life. I do work quite a few evenings a week. I try to have some time off. Sometimes when there's always a team around you, it's all very busy in the week, so sometimes Sunday's a really good time to just get my head down and work out what's happening sort of for the week ahead, to give me the calmness that I kind of need, although that cuts into sort of my personal time. Otherwise I just feel like I'm chasing my tail the whole time at work, because I never have that sort of clarity moment where I can go, right, what are we actually doing? And I find I get more stressed. The less time I have to myself, the more sort of stressed out I become, because I need that brain space, even if it's just to work out what display needs changing in the shop.
So do you have an activity that you're like, right, I'm gonna take half an hour and I'm just gonna go do this to kind of like clear your head?
I can do, but because we're a shop, it's very much guided by customer and who walks in. So sometimes you might not get any moment in the day to do anything that you intended to do. Another time you suddenly got a whole day and be like, oh, I didn't put much on my list today because I was on the shop floor. There's always jobs like cleaning and displays and things like that in the shop anyway, so that's a full-time job in itself. So yeah, that's how I sort of work.
Absolutely. What is one of your favourite millinery tools?
I do like my industrial stream iron, I must say. I only got it about a year ago, but it has sort of revolutionised.
Changed your life?
Things a little bit, yeah. It just makes so much quicker and easier to work with.
Yes. And what's your favourite thing to do with this steam iron?
It's probably when you're like blocking felt or something like that, rather than just like putting it back on a whole steam or anything like that. You can just get that area done, and it just injects the fibre so well that then you're like, right, done. It just, speeds up the process, stops the faffing around. Yeah.
And what's your favourite material to be working with at the moment, or what are you exploring?
I do like using felt. I think probably any milliner, sort of when you work with a nice peach bloom, sort of would agree that that's kind of easy. You don't need to worry about a direction of a weave or anything like that as you go. So I'm quite enjoying doing the autumn winter collection at the moment, and working with the felts, apart from it's hot weather and the steamer's on all day. Isn't that great? What else? I'm using quite a lot of Panama straw at the moment, actually. I sort of newly discovered it sort of earlier in the season, and sort of just playing around with that. It's probably soft and pliable.
And what is one of the best handy hints someone has shared with you about hats or the hat making business?
Probably just business in general would be progress, not perfection. Just like more important to start than it to be perfect, and you can give yourself time to evolve as you go. Even if you fail, you can learn a lot more from your failings than you ever do by plodding along, or just by never doing. So yeah, always sort of improving yourself and investing in yourself as well as sort of learning how to make hats or crafts, like investing in yourself and how you can be better than promoting yourself or putting yourself forward. I think is really important, and always be working on that.
Absolutely. And what's next for the business?
focusing a lot at the moment on my mentoring thing. It's something that I've really discovered that I've got a passion for. I've been sort of dabbling in it for the last couple of years, but such a need out there for how to transform millinery into a business that makes a profit and can sustain people. And I love working with my clients that I have on that, and it's really rewarding work. It's a completely different type of rewarding work than producing a hat for a customer. They're both good, but it's just a different type, and I'm really enjoying that. So sort of growing sort of my mentoring and my mentoring programs is something I'm really sort of passionate about at the moment.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for talking hats with us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for joining us for this episode with Beverley today. How did you listen to the podcast? Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, or through our website? We're pleased to be able to present the podcast to you on all of these platforms. We hope it makes the listening easy for you, and remember to subscribe on your preferred platform so you don't miss out when a new podcast is released. We'd like to thank our Patreon supporters for the podcast, the Hat Academy, the Essential Hat, and Louise McDonald Milliner. You can find out more about becoming a Patreon supporter through the link on our website. It's a great way to share news about your event, business, or supplies with other milliners. We look forward to bringing you another episode soon, and happy hatting!